Writing. The handcuffs were so tight that Malik Corven could feel the cold metal biting into his wrists, but he never begged the officers to loosen them. He simply stood beneath the harsh afternoon sunlight, staring through the police station doors while one thought kept repeating in his mind: his little daughter was waiting for him. He had promised her he would be home before dinner. What Malik didn't know was that within minutes, the same officers who had treated him like a criminal would stand in stunned silence as his true identity was revealed. If you believe kindness can change a life and that everyone deserves a second chance, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Heartline Stories. Because sometimes, the person we judge in 5 minutes is someone who has spent years protecting people we may never know. Malik had been raising his 8-year-old daughter, Zariah, alone for nearly 6 years. Every morning, before the sun fully rose, he packed her lunch, braided her hair as carefully as his tired fingers could manage, and walked her to the school bus before heading to his job across town. He worked long hours as a maintenance supervisor at a community center, fixing broken doors, leaking pipes, and anything else people needed repaired. The job didn't pay much, but Malik never complained. His world revolved around one small person with bright eyes and a laugh that could make even the hardest day feel lighter. That afternoon, Malik had been driving home when he noticed a police officer arguing with an elderly man outside a neighborhood grocery store. The old man was frightened, confused, and struggling to explain that his wallet had been stolen. Malik pulled over because he recognized the man from the community center. He stepped out and calmly tried to explain what had happened, but the officer immediately told him to stay out of it. Malik raised his hands and explained that he was only trying to help. Yet when he questioned why the elderly man was being treated so harshly, the officer's expression hardened. Within moments, Malik was accused of interfering with police business and refusing to cooperate. He repeatedly explained that he had done nothing wrong, but every attempt to defend himself was labeled as talking back. The situation escalated until another officer grabbed his arm and forced his hands behind his back. Malik's heart pounded as the cuffs clicked shut. He thought about Zariah sitting at home, watching the clock, wondering why her father hadn't returned. He swallowed his anger because he knew one wrong movement could make everything worse. Inside the station, Malik was placed on a bench beneath flickering fluorescent lights. His clothes were dusty, his wrists red, but his face remained calm. An officer mocked him for being so stubborn. Malik looked down at the floor and quietly said that he wasn't trying to disrespect anyone. He only wanted to make sure an innocent man wasn't forgotten. The officer laughed and walked away. Then something unexpected happened. A young female officer entered the room carrying a folder. Her eyes fell on Malik, and she froze. She looked at the photograph attached to his identification paperwork, then at Malik himself. Her expression changed completely. She whispered something to the senior officer, who immediately stopped what he was doing. The folder contained information Malik had never mentioned. 7 years earlier, before becoming a single father, Malik had served overseas as a combat medic. During a dangerous operation, his unit had come under heavy fire. Malik had ignored his own injuries and crawled through debris to reach wounded soldiers trapped inside a damaged vehicle. He had saved 5 lives that night. One of those soldiers was the police department's current chief of operations. But there was more. The young officer opened another document. Malik had received a national commendation for bravery, yet he had never talked about it publicly. After returning home, he had chosen a quiet life because he didn't want his daughter growing up hearing stories about violence and war. He wanted her to know her father as the man who fixed broken toys, cooked pancakes on Sundays, and never forgot bedtime stories. The station suddenly became silent. The senior officer walked toward Malik and carefully removed the handcuffs. He looked embarrassed as he apologized. Malik rubbed his wrists but said nothing. Then the station commander entered, having been notified of what happened. He stared at Malik for several seconds before recognizing him. His face filled with disbelief. He had seen Malik's name before, not in a criminal report, but in a service citation honoring the medic who had saved his brother's life. The commander walked forward and extended his hand. Malik hesitated, then accepted it. But the moment that broke everyone's hearts came next. Instead of demanding an apology, Malik asked whether the elderly man from the grocery store was okay. He asked whether someone had found his wallet. Even after being humiliated and handcuffed, Malik's first concern was still the stranger he had tried to protect. The commander lowered his head and admitted that Malik had been right. The elderly man had not committed a crime. His wallet had been found in a shopping cart, and the entire misunderstanding could have been avoided. Then, one by one, the officers in the room stood. The young officer who had first recognized Malik came to attention. Then another officer stood beside her. Then another. Within seconds, the entire station was standing straight, silently saluting the man they had treated like a troublemaker only minutes earlier. Malik's eyes filled with tears. He wasn't crying because they saluted him. He was crying because, for the first time in years, someone had recognized the sacrifice behind the tired father who worked long hours just to keep his daughter smiling. The commander told Malik that his service would never be forgotten. Malik simply nodded and said that he didn't need a ceremony. He only wanted to go home because his daughter was waiting. When Malik finally stepped outside, the afternoon sun was beginning to soften. Across the street, Zariah was standing beside a neighbor who had brought her to the station. The moment she saw her father, she ran toward him. Malik dropped to his knees and caught her in his arms. She asked why his wrists were red. He smiled through his tears and told her that sometimes people make mistakes, but what matters is choosing not to let those mistakes turn your heart bitter. Behind him, the officers watched quietly. They had learned something that day. Respect should never depend on a uniform, a title, a bank account, or the color of someone's skin. And courage doesn't always look like a battlefield hero. Sometimes it looks like a tired single father standing up for an elderly stranger when nobody else will. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, and subscribe to Hardline Stories so more stories like this can reach people who need them. And here is a special request. Comment, kindness has no color, if you believe we should judge people by the goodness in their hearts, not by the assumptions we make about them. That evening, Malik walked home holding Zariah's hand beneath the golden daylight. His wrist still carried faint marks from the cuffs, but his daughter's hand felt warmer than anything else in the world. He had lost his wife, struggled through poverty, carried memories he rarely spoke about, and endured a humiliation he never deserved. Yet he kept walking forward. Because heroes don't always wear medals. Sometimes they wear worn-out shoes, carry grocery bags, raise children alone, and quietly choose kindness when the world gives them every reason not to. And sometimes, before the day is over, even an entire police station learns to salute them.